even Jesus walked with 12 intimate friends.
That's
and
what I was thinking. Mm-hmm.
And he got to the end of his life and they all ran away. One denied him and one betrayed him. So I have to remind myself of that and go,
right.
And he knew that was going to happen because he's God.
He did.
But he still thought it was worth it. Hi friends, I'm Christine Caine, and you're listening to the Life and Leadership Podcast, where we share conversations with faith-fueled leaders from all over the globe.
God, I have so much to be thankful for, and even in the midst of my suffering, you are present.
I feel like the next generation are rising and choosing consecration, not deconstruction.
I'm an ambassador. I'm representing another kingdom.
Now, my prayer is that our time together each week activates you to fulfill your God-given purpose and to follow Jesus wholeheartedly as you lead within your particular sphere of influence. Hey everyone, well, welcome back to the Life and Leadership Podcast, and I am so glad that you've joined us this week. Now, if this podcast is helping you, then be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this with your friend. It makes such a difference in getting the word out and making sure we're helping as many people as we can. Now, we read every single comment, and we love hearing from you. Now, in fact, it's actually because of your responses and comments that we're doing today's episode, because you have asked for more Q&As. You ask the questions and I'm bringing you the answer. And today I'm so excited to be joined by our E&E Communications Manager, Mattie Meese, for a discussion on friendship. So you've asked the questions, I'm bringing the answer. Cannot wait to dive in.
I am excited to dive into this one today because this topic came up in a lot of questions. And I think many women are ready to learn more about this topic because sometimes it's not addressed, and we're discussing friendship today. And so to kick things off, I want to talk about leadership, friendship, and boundaries. So how do you grow, cultivate, and maintain friendships within different levels of intimacy?
Okay, Mattie, that's a big one. Well, you know, friendship is my love language, and I love having friends. I love being a friend, and I love that God calls us his friend as well. So that's, you know, friendship is very important to God. Friendship is a common theme throughout Scripture. So I take it really seriously, and I think anyone that's close to me knows that I really value friendships. I value longevity in friendships, and also understand that, you know, life is full of seasons, and life is full of ups and downs. And I'm thinking, like, you know, we're not going to answer all the questions on this Q&A, and I would imagine every time we do a Q&A, the issue of friendship is going to come up because it is a biggie, and especially for chicks, friendship can be a lot of things. It can be awesome and it can be drama-filled, and
absolutely.
I think of that. I've got two daughters, one's 18, one's 22, and so there's a lot of estrogen in our home, and there's lots of different friendship circles. They've got their ones going, and I've got my ones going. Here's the one thing I'll say up front, and then we'll sort of get through whatever we can get through. The one thing that my girls have seen, they have seen that their mum has friends. They've also seen that their dad has friends, for both Nick and I. And because I'm speaking about this, we're obviously in a marriage context, but we have our entire married life, which is almost 30 years, have both kept a really high value on friends. So it's really important for me that Nick has a lot of really good, great guy friends. And he's got his mountain bike buddies, and, you know, every week they have it in the calendar. They do their mountain biking, and then he's got another group of guys that he does Bible study with, and they're, you know, great group of friends. And so, you know, his mountain bike buddies is a mixture of people that know the Lord and don't know the Lord. And then obviously the Bible study one is mostly people that know the Lord. And then once a year, he goes away with a bunch of buddies on a 5-day motorbike sort of trip up through the mountains. So, you know, and then I have the same. I've got my hiking buddies, and once a year I go away with, you know, 10 girls, and we hike a mountain or several mountain trails. And then I've got my kind of, you know, when I'm around, I've got my girlfriends that I go hiking with. I've got great friends in ministry that I do life and ministry with. And so what I love, and I think it's really great that my daughters have grown up in a home where they see that not only do their parents love each other,
Right.
But that we all need more relationships than just one to go together. And that even that they see that when you get married, it doesn't mean you suddenly don't have friends. And so I love, and my daughters have seen that in and out of our home, I've got longevity of friendships with single women and married women, which is great. That, I've got several friends that are single that have been my friends for 30 and 40 years. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, definitely. I've got two that have been friends for that long and many that have been 20 plus years. So both single and married. So I want my own daughters to see that you can have friends in different seasons. And they've seen me have friendships in Australia, and then we moved to America. So you're talking across nations. And I also travel 9 months of the year around the world. So you go, okay, Christine, we're talking a lot of boundaries, a lot of relationships, changing nations, so of course within that, there are different circles of friendship. And here's the big thing. No one person can be everything to anyone. Only Jesus can be that. So I wouldn't want any one of my friendships to have to bear the burden of just, listen, all of Christine is too much for anyone. Only Jesus can cope with that. It's too much for Nick. It's too much for anyone. But I have probably and a good circle of, probably 5 very, very close, intimate ministry girlfriends in not exactly doing what I do, but within that sphere. And they're senior leaders that get it. They understand what I do. They understand me. They're a little bit older, so they're seasoned in life. And they would be like my very close circle that would be my go-to for deeply personal things, deeply intimate things. Now, I am, transparent with everyone. What you see is what you get. Like, Mattie, I am, and my staff sees what you see is what you get. But for deeper, more intimate things, well, then that level is a few people. Number one, not everyone needs to know. There's a very big difference between your private life and having a secret life. I don't have a secret life, but I've got a private life where, and it's very hard for me to be your leader and putting vision on team and then sitting down having very deeply intimate, personal interrelationships. Well, I expect all of you to have that with your peers and friends, and I've got that in my group as well. So that helps keep some boundaries of how I can be entirely friendly and friends with a whole bunch of people on our team. And I love it. Like when I'm in different countries with all our officers, there's no one I'd rather go to dinner with, and there's no one I'd rather chat with and chat about vision and be totally open. But then if I've got things that I'm working through, and of course there are things with marriage or family or just my own spiritual life that I want to talk through, well, of course I've got different spheres for that. And I think that's really healthy because it enables everyone to be kind of free within that. And I've made sure I've always kept that in my life. I've made sure. And I think even moving across the world, I've got some friends from Australia that are still very close friends. By that, I mean, we would regularly text. We schedule calls. It's like, hi, okay, when can we catch up? There's great intention. And you have to be because all of us are busy, but you prioritize what really matters to you. So I'm sort of willing to forsake binge watching something on Netflix so I can call someone and have a chat to them. That for me, that's a high value. Now, I do realize friendship has a very high value in my life. So I am I'm going to get on a plane and come and visit you. And just if you're in a different state and we're close friends and it's your birthday or it's something important, well, to the best of my ability, I'm going to rearrange everything because I want to be there. One of my dearest friends is Lisa Harper. And so we are working, we get on the phone and listen, 2 people don't travel more than Lisa and I and have so many things going on. But we're like, let's get our calendar out. And it is like Tetris, man, going, okay, well, I'm over here in Indonesia on this day, but if I fly in here, we can have one day jet skiing here and then we will, but it's that important to us that we're going to do that and make it work. Now, people are saying, that's because, okay, flying is a part of my life. Now, when I was living in Sydney, Australia, and I had a local-based ministry. I had the same intentionality. It didn't mean I was flying, but it meant, okay, because we could have just got caught up with life, but it was like, okay, on Tuesdays at X time, we're going to meet for an hour to do this. We're going to schedule in every 3 months this kind of time where we have an extended day where we can catch up. I think I've always had great intentionality, and I just made a decision as my life sort of maybe got bigger and broader, my responsibilities were spread across continents. That leads for greater complexity when you lead 21 offices and you have an itinerant ministry. But the 4 or 5 friendships that I hope to be able to have right to the end, well, they matter enough that it's like, okay. And I think we could do it because we so value and esteem each other, and we don't take anything for granted. It's not like we're going to waste. We don't presume. There is such a respect and a genuine love that you go, I so want to spend this time with you. And I know we see each other and we value each other, and it's a two-way street. There has to be reciprocity.
Right.
I think the disappointment comes if there's unmet expectations because there really wasn't honesty about it in there. And oftentimes a lot of things dissolve and end because one person had a higher expectation than the other person did. And often I think if we were just perhaps a little bit honest earlier on, it would stop some of the pain further down the track.
At Trevecca Nazarene University, leadership is more than a skill, it's a calling. The School of Leadership and Interdisciplinary Studies offers cutting-edge programs at the bachelor's, master's, and doctoral levels, all designed to prepare you for a career that impacts your world. In any of the leadership degree programs at Trevecca, you'll be guided by experienced faculty as you build expertise that can prepare you for promotions and new career opportunities. You'll get to know a supportive cohort of classmates who understands you and are working towards similar goals. Best of all, you'll take flexible online classes so you can continue working and prioritizing the things in your life that matter most. Academic excellence is at the heart of Trevecca's mission to educate and equip leaders. That dedication has been recognized by Fortune Education, naming Trevecca's Doctor of Education in Leadership the most affordable online doctorate in education 2024. No matter your field, Trevecca's leadership programs equip you to lead with integrity, creativity, and purpose. Visit trevecca.edu/Christine to get started today.
No, that's so real. And I think so many women specifically too, I just think having that mutual desire to be committed in friendship with one another and setting those expectations is massive. And how would you say, Chris, how would you discern what friendships are for seasons and when it's time to move on in a friendship? Because that's a really real aspect too.
It's a big thing. And there's different ages and different stages. That's for sure. There are some people that are there for a reason. There are some that are there for a season, and there are some that are there for life. And the fact is there are fewer that are there for life. But I don't believe we should be flippant with friendships. Now, God loves everyone, and so we should esteem and honor everyone. But there are definite times where sometimes God brings someone into your life. And I've had that plenty of times where you go, whoa, we're together and there's some intensity for that particular, maybe it's around a different project or, you're in the same geographical region. And so you're like, okay, we're fast friends because we're both here and we're, but then you move. I mean, there are natural things. Or you get married, and not every friendship, it's not that it's going to make it. It's just that it wasn't necessarily meant for that. Now, the degree, number one, you've got to discern with the Holy Spirit what parts are for what. It is never right to be unkind to people. I don't believe it's right to just cut people off and to just ignore people. There's that whole phrase, your generation likes to use it a lot, ghosting. And I had to get my daughters to really explain what that was. And I thought, I don't think the Holy Ghost likes to ghost. I don't think that's a good thing. But I think because of maybe digital technology, people think that that's okay. It's sort of like, you just don't answer, or because we've gotten so used to muting or blocking on social media that I think we've begun to do that in our relationships, as if somehow someone you've been in 10 years relationship with, it's okay just to mute. But I'm not talking about just because you're bored or you don't like it. I think there still has to, especially if we're believers, there has to be some intentionality and some conversation around necessary endings. Now, of course, Dr. Cloud wrote the book. I can't remember if that one was both Cloud and Townsend. It was one. It was definitely. Was it
I think
both?
it was both. I think it was both potentially. Yeah.
And
boundaries.
Or necessary endings as well. Like there are some necessary endings in life, and that you can't feel guilty about that, because I'm such a loyalist that I have the opposite problem. So I go way beyond when it should have ended. Okay, so that's my problem. So that's why I'm probably speaking with so much passion, because my problem is the exact opposite. Is that I probably have held on to some that I shouldn't have, because they were done, and it could have been a lot easier and less painful had I been able to just do that. I hope I'm getting better, but I am 58, so I'm running out of time. Somewhere in the next 40 years before I go home, I'll get better at this. But it's good. I so love friendship. That's why for me, I so value it. But the point is, I think you've got to just be you've got to be honest and open, always kind, and of course the caveat to all of this is we're not talking about anything that is toxic or dangerous, or,
abusive,
of course,
or anything like
abusive.
That, of course.
That's the caveat, okay? In any of that, run as fast as you can and as far as you can. So now we've got that disclaimer out. That's a given. I would assume that's good. A lot of people like to heap guilt anywhere there's guilt or shame, or where someone's trying to guilt you into being their friend or shame you for. That's all wrong. That's all sinful and wrong. And so it is good to step out of that. So you got to have a boundary. Now, again, I also understand. I love people so much, and I do realize that I have a life that has a broad reach. So it is physically impossible, of course, for me to be friends with everyone. It would be disingenuous for me to go, okay, I can be best friends with everyone. I can't. Now, I can be friendly with everyone, and I am. And I know sometimes people mistake friendliness with going, maybe I can be friendly. And I've tried to get better at, maybe not having that, because I realize people could be really hurt by that. It's like, I thought we were deep friends, and I'm like, I know I'm friendly,
so
but
unintentional.
it's not in any way intentional. And so it is even to the point, like, you can't have sort of maybe the social media reach that I have and be able to actually physically answer would I like to answer every person? Well, yes, but I mean, I'm being honest. There are thousands. It is. There is literally enough time. If I did nothing else in my life but sat there and tried to answer DMs or this, it's physically possible. It's just not a possibility. Let alone be able to do what I'm called to do. So I think, to the best of my ability, we try to be upfront. We have special things that say, look, I'm sorry, Christine can't answer, but here is a way you can get in contact with her. I try to do things like these podcasts where I'm as open and transparent as I can be, to go, okay, guys, if we could have coffee, and this is really, and you wanted to ask me questions about friendship, this is how I would answer you. And I try to do stories when I'm out hiking, because it's like, if we were all hiking together, this is where we would all be, and I so want you to do it. So I try to make my broad circle, I want to involve you as much as I can, but of course we're only all human, and so you cannot, I can't be married and raise my children and run a ministry with hundreds of staff in 21 offices in 14 countries around the world and be best friends with every single person. So, but I do want to be friendly with everyone. I do want I want to have a wide circle of inclusivity. I love that. But I am also aware that in terms of my inner circle, there can only be a handful, and you go, okay, so in that, does it shift, and does that mean everything's smooth? Well, of course not. Of course, in that, there are things to navigate. You can get hurt in those relationships. I recently went through one of the most painful seasons of betrayal in one of those relationships, where it just was, I was so blindsided and so deeply hurt. And, I'm human like everybody else. We go through stuff and you sort stuff out, and sometimes
people are messy.
Yeah, people are messy, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And I saw the situation one way, my friends saw it another way, and it just at this point, when we're recording this, I wish we'd sort of come to more agreement than we have at this point. I'm not saying there never will be, but at this point, you just go, man, that hurt. And man, that sucked. And I wish, and nothing.
We've all been there, Chris.
It's horrible. Yeah. It's just like it sucked.
It's so painful.
And you just go, as we sit right at this point, we're both still seeing it from two different perspectives. And so you go, wow. But that's life. I mean, the other side of me, I don't think I've been through anything more painful because I'm so vested in. So once I'm in, you have me for life. I'm Greek. We are so it can hurt. I mean, you cut me, I bleed like anybody else. And so I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, it's all awesome. But would I trade it for anything? No. And if even this doesn't land where I'd like it to land, I'm going to give it my best. But if it doesn't, does that mean I'm going to wish that the 15 years of deep intimacy that I had that I didn't have? No. Thank God for every second of it. And the pain of what it seems like the ending of it is, at least it shows me I feel and I'm real. And I was, it shows me that I was all in. I'll tell you that much. It shows me that I was all in.
Which is so good.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
So I think we have to be just willing to go, okay, this is not an ironclad guarantee. Yeah. But even Jesus walked with 12 intimate friends.
That's what I was thinking. Mm-hmm.
And he got to the end of his life and they all ran away. One denied him and one betrayed him. So I have to remind myself of that and go, and he knew that was going to happen because he's God.
He did.
But he still thought it was worth it.
Right.
So I figure, and I remember in one of my, I cried so hard because I just so didn't, I so love this friend and I so didn't want it, this rupture to happen in our relationship. And I just had to come back and go, okay, somehow you think this is worth it because you had 12 close guys and you knew one would utterly betray you. I mean, this is not that level, but I've never had that kind of betrayal where, it meant that
you can empathize.
So he's there. But one literally denied you and said, no, I don't know the dude. And after, and the other 10 all fled and they were not there when you were being crucified. So, wow, I'm just going, okay, I feel better about myself right now. So that could be a word of hope for somebody listening
Absolutely.
to this.
Who's waiting and aching for repairing relationships. Like Jesus can empathize with that pain and with the nuances and the complexities of relationships. No, Chris, thank you so much for being so candid. And it only stirs up more excitement for me of the podcast to come answering these questions. So thank you for your wisdom.
Thank you so much.
Today. Thanks so much.
It's been awesome. Thank you.
So good.
Hi, thanks so much for joining me today on YouTube. I've got something special for you, a guided prayer experience called Pause and Pray. Now, I've created this in order to help you get closer to God and to feel the peace and joy of His presence. Today, when you support Equip and Empower with a financial gift, you can request your own copy of Pause and Pray as a thank you. This ministry is all about sharing the hope of Jesus and sparking kingdom revival. Your support makes you part of this mission. Together, we can reach more people than ever for the sake of the gospel in 2025. So give today and get your copy of Pause and Pray. I can't wait to hear from you. Okay, that was so much fun. I love answering your questions, so please keep sending them in. You know that I appreciate and value every single one of you. So thanks so much for joining us on the Life and Leadership Podcast. I cannot wait to see you next week. Now be sure to subscribe so that you never, ever miss one episode, and make sure you share it with a friend that you want to encourage today. A special thanks to Trevecca Nazarene University's School of Leadership and Interdisciplinary Studies for sponsoring our podcast. Find your calling and advance your career with a degree that brings your future into focus. Learn more at trevecca.edu/Christine.